Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Happy Wednesday and welcome to the Social. Yeah, let's do this thing. Joining us today is host of the Social's Mom Life Crisis and the NSL on TSN. Kate McKenna is back. Welcome back.
Hey, Mel.
Well, you knew we were going to start the show with this, right? Mm-hmm. Jimmy Kimmel is back. He opened up his show last night with a monologue that was both emotional and defiant after returning to ABC for the first time since his suspension last week. So Kimmel praised Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica, for forgiving the man accused of killing her husband. And he also called U.S. President Donald Trump's efforts to silence comedians such as himself un-American. Yeah. So Trump, you know he must have been watching, right? Well, he did hint on his Truth Social that he was going to go after ABC. So what do we make of Kimmel's return last night?
I mean, I loved it. I thought the monologue was an absolute masterclass. And for me, what jumped out was that moment where he got very emotional. And I think it's because, you know, over the past 6 days, there's been so much talk about government, capitalism, freedom of speech. I hadn't really stopped to consider how Jimmy might be feeling, how he may be absorbing all this. And it was clear based on what he said and on his emotion last night that he's been feeling a lot. You know, upset about the way in which his words were misconstrued and the pain that may have caused people. Perhaps some anger that the company that he does so much for, not just Jimmy Kimmel Live, he also does Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and hosts the Oscars, let him down and capitulated. And Bob Iger in particular, who's the CEO, but is also a close friend of Jimmy's. He attended his wedding. So I imagine the personal-professional intertwining there caused him some pain. Also that his words impacted the employment of his 200-plus member crew. So there was just a lot going on there, including immense gratitude for the solidarity shown to him by his fellow comedians. So for me, it was the emotion that really stood out last night.
Yeah, the human stuff. Yeah. It's true. I think for me, it was, as I had said on the show yesterday, even though I would have wanted him to come out swinging just because I'm vindictive, apparently, but he came out and did what I thought he was going to do ultimately, and that was to try to bring people together as opposed to continue to turn up the temperature. He is actively trying to turn down the temperature. But the strategy that he used to get there was fascinating to me, by using his opponent's own words against them. So, for example, we know that FCC Chair Brendan Carr, he's the one who kicked off this whole firestorm. And he put up Brendan Carr's own tweet from several years ago when Brendan Carr said, "President Biden is right. Political satire is one of the oldest and most important forms of free speech. It challenges those in power while using humor to draw in more people to the discussion. That's why people in influential positions have always targeted it for censorship." So he's using Brendan's own words.
Yeah, against him. That's brilliant.
Against him.
So
and he all did
brilliant.
that. What a brilliant stroke of genius to say, we don't agree on a lot of things on the left and right, but we should all agree, including the guys who are trying to censor me. You have believed in the past in the freedom of speech.
Oh yeah, it was
brilliant.
Absolutely,
Brilliant.
It was a master class in the right tone. It was humor. It was like it was a reminder also of the important role that comedians play during dark times and how dictators often will attack first the comedians and tell them, you know, because and again pointing.
Why do dictators never have a sense of humor?
But it's a great question. It's
very sensitive.
They think they do.
They think they do. But
Yeah,
they
when
can't
they're the
take
ones
a joke.
making the jokes.
They can't take a joke on themselves, and he repeatedly showed how Trump cannot take a joke over and over again. But one of the things that stood out to me was the fact that it's not just comedians, as Jimmy Kimmel pointed out. He pointed out that this administration is coming for journalists as well. So he pointed out that over the weekend, a new policy was announced requiring journalists with Pentagon press passes to sign something promising that they would not share information that hasn't been explicitly authorized for release, okay? That is a news story that isn't getting as much attention. And what he reminded everyone of last night is that you do have power as viewers. You do have power to move the dial, because if people hadn't responded in the way that they had, Jimmy may never have come back on the air. And the same thing goes with news journalism. We have to protect them. The fact that he took time out of his monologue to address that, I just thought, chef's kiss. Beautiful job.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, I agree with what everybody says. The entire monologue was chef's chef's kiss because it hit all the right notes. It was funny, it was insightful, it was factual, and I'm dying to know what the ratings are. We're not going to find out just yet because I'm sure a lot of people were expecting him to be like a Trump bashing, like 15 minutes, like this is what this guy did, and he didn't do that. And that was brilliant. But if you wanted to see some Trump bashing, you needed to watch Stephen Colbert last night because listen, California Governor Gavin Newsom, who I think is going to be the next president of the United States, really did not pull any punches. And it's interesting to me that Gavin went toe-to-toe and really called Trump on all this stuff. He also talked about all of the lawsuits he has against Donald Trump, and no one's talking about that. It's like, okay, so you still want to talk about Jimmy, and Jimmy was quite nice about it. He was emotional. He identified with how he felt about Charlie Kirk and his widow. And you still want to attack him. Meanwhile, Gavin left it all on the floor and no one's talking about it, so I had to bring it up today. I'm sorry we didn't have the whole clip because he really let him have it. It was really good.
I love this.
It was good.
You know, I mean, we're going to find out the ratings. As I had said yesterday, I would love to know how many of those were hate watchers who were just like, I'm just going to watch him.
But they might have been that was what's so brilliant about him is that I think that there were people who might have been hate watching who maybe had never watched Jimmy Kimmel before, who because of the way he handled it might have been like, oh,
yeah, he's not so bad.
Yes. Exactly.
He's not so
was
bad.
Brilliant.
And to that point, for me, what I loved, it's a reminder, and you say this all the time, that many things can be true. He started that monologue next to Guillermo, dressed as a bear and a banana, before pivoting into really important, heartfelt stuff. He proved that you can disagree with someone vehemently on some issues and not all. And I think recently, humanity has divided into boxes and camps. And that was such a reminder to me that human beings are multidimensional. And it was just a beautiful reminder.
And a reminder that I think we all get that. I think the only person who doesn't get that is President Donald Trump. Sorry, the only one who doesn't get that message.
As we finish this conversation, could Trump's legacy, because I'm already thinking about when he's out.
If he's out.
Could Trump's legacy actually ultimately be uniting us because he has so detrimentally and tragically divided America?
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Food for thought.
Look at the way that he's united our own country. When he came after us and talked about annexation, how did we respond? We were like, no, we don't want that over here. And I was like, we need to send him some Tim Hortons because that was fantastic.
Right?
That was fantastic. Thank you, Donald.
I like your optimism, Mel.
I do too.
Wow, he might get the Nobel Peace Prize after all.
Oh, no, come on.
That's delusion.
Guess what? That's called comedy, Donald. That's called comedy. And I'm not even a comedian.
Let's dive into our next topic. Skechers has come out with a line of kid sneakers that contain a hidden compartment where parents can slip in an AirTag and track their movements. So, parents, what do you make of this feature? Should you track your children? How do you guys feel about this?
Oh, people like
it. I see one hesitant, a lot of yeses. All right, ladies, there's a lot of parents here. What do you guys think? Are you tracking your kids?
So Jaya recently switched schools, and so he's going to be walking a lot more.
And how old is he?
He's 12 and a half. So I remember being 12 and a half. I had the full run of the neighborhood. I'm like, okay, trying to let that, umbilical cord extend, cut it, or whatever. I said to Jason, I'm like, oh, maybe we should get him an AirTag just because he's going to be walking back and forth. And Jason's like, oh, I already have an AirTag for him. I was like, oh, well, can you tell me how to track? I want to see. So the thing is that I started looking on a regular basis, and I'm like, why is he there? What is he doing on lunch break? And then I realized this is not good for me. This is actually not good. He's always a very trustworthy kid. I feel like it's actually making me more anxious than actually not.
Oh, I don't feel that way.
You don't feel that way?
I get that. Here's the problem. Okay, I'm going to call myself out that what I'm about to say is I know not good parenting because it's not healthy for me. The same thing, we're going to say the same thing in different ways. So this helicopter generation is opposite to how we were raised, right? Our parents, the technology wasn't there, they couldn't track us. But what did we get as a result of being free-range kids? That's why our generation, we are confident, we're independent, we're self-sustaining, we're perhaps more self-disciplined. And the problem is, because the pandemic pendulum has swung for surveillance society. I do feel good that I've been tracking my child for a long time. Unfortunately, now I'm letting everyone know that she's got a tracker on her, so I think it's defeating the purpose.
Yeah.
But it had made me feel good. But here's where things took a twist. I realized that I am putting my anxiety on her. Her generation, they're called Gen Alpha, you know this,
Yes.
right? Gen Alpha is called the indoors generation. They have stranger danger worse than we did. And we grew up in the 80s when we were told, don't ever park next to a white van.
Yeah.
That was our
Or
generation.
don't get in the white van. Don't get in the van.
And yet, the statistics don't bear it out. The statistics don't bear out the way that I'm behaving as a parent. She's very, very safe.
Yeah.
So I have sadly passed on my anxiety to her. She
Also,
doesn't want to go outside.
Can I just say, and I know you're going to get in here,
Yeah,
but here's the thing, that if the ultimate fear and the reason why we're tracking is because we're afraid the kids are going to get stolen, and as you pointed out, that doesn't often happen. Even if it did, the thing is that as soon as an AirTag is near you, so let's say I'm the kidnapper. I've got you, you're my kid, I just stole you, okay?
Yeah.
It says, boom, there's an AirTag near you. So I actually...
They'll be well aware.
They'll be well aware, and now they know that they're in shoes, so they're just going to check the shoes.
Yeah.
Like, so what is...
See,
what
I
are
didn't
we
want to say
doing
that
here?
part because it was going to make me sound like the bad guy. I'm like, if I'm kidnapping your kid, I'm taking their shoes off, I'm taking off the hat, I'm taking off the thing around their neck, I'm just going to take it all off.
It's dark. I know, guys,
it's terrible.
but it's just like it's not that reassuring on some level.
It's just, I have 2 kids, 3 and 6, and it's a no for me because I just don't see the logic. As you pointed out, if they're gonna be kidnapped, that's quite rare. There was a stat in this article. If for some strange reason you wanted your kid to be kidnapped, you'd have to leave them outside unattended for roughly 750,000 years. If they're going to be in a car, hit by a car, they're going to be hit by a car regardless of whether they have an AirTag in or not. But what I found most interesting is there's research out of France and the Netherlands that says this is actually having the opposite effect, that teens who know parents can see their whereabouts are more likely to engage in risky behaviors because they assume they can always be found. So this is actually having the opposite effect.
I can see that.
If I were a teen, I would just take the shoes off, leave them wherever I told my parents I was gonna be, and then switch my shoes and
That's
go where I
our
want to be.
thinking.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a kid from a different generation. These shoes wouldn't help my parents. But you know what I'm hoping? I'm hoping that Skechers, I love that they're thinking about parents, but sometimes we forget about our seniors. And as a former caregiver, I would say this would be a great idea for those of us who have family members who have dementia. Because when they leave the house, we don't know what direction they go in. We don't know what's going on in their mind, and it's absolute panic. My dad left the house. He used to go on 2 walks a day, and he always returned home until one morning he didn't. And it was horrific for our family, and I have an air tracker on him. But still, it was that panic. So I'm hoping that make it for the kids, that's great, but also think about the caregivers and their family members who would really benefit from this as well.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay. We're moving on to this. A mom on Instagram asked her fellow millennial parents how they want to be addressed by their kids' friends. So check this out.
What are we calling ourselves? Like, how are we introducing ourselves? Or what do we expect other kids or teachers to call us? Because when I was growing up, I called my parents' friends Mr. and Mrs. Blank. But I cannot imagine a child calling me Mrs. Wilder. I also could not imagine introducing myself to a child as Mrs. Wilder.
So, sorry, I'm like, who's reading it? It's me. What do you expect kids to call you?
Okay, this is interesting because I think it actually flows out of the last topic really, really well. This is a generational divide. We would never in a million years imagine thinking of going up to our principal and saying, "Hi, Brian."
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't happen. Like, so generationally, we were raised, it's Mr., it's Mrs., it's Sir, it's Ma'am. Now, there's a lot of great things that come with that. We were also very different kids. We weren't tracked. We were maybe, we didn't have a lot of maybe the same challenges that a lot of kids have today. A lot of teachers have challenges today. A lot of parents have challenges. Where I saw this enacted for the first time, and it made me change my mind on this because I think that a title does denote respect. However, during the pandemic, I pulled my daughter out of public school and I put her into a private school. And this private school had a very explicit rule that everybody calls everybody by their first names. Everybody. You call your teachers by your first names. And I went, oh, I don't know about this. It worked so beautifully. And I'm going to tell you why, because they believe respect doesn't come from a title, it's how you behave. So to them, it was tone, it was attitude, and it actually put the teachers and the kids on an even playing field. And I found actually closer connection and less hierarchy. It wasn't about, I know more than you because you're just a kid. It was much more collaborative. Now, they were smaller classes. I don't know if this would work in a classroom
Not in
setting.
public, not in public school, baby.
You know,
I went to public
but
school.
I've seen it and it
I don't know
works.
about that.
It actually didn't work that way for me. I was in teachers college, so I was probably 4 years older than the kids that I was teaching. And so I needed that Miss McKenna, even though inside I'm like, Miss McKenna. I needed it for that sort of delineation, that respect. But for me now, I mean, the other day I was at the skate park with my son, and some probably 25-year-old goes, "Have a nice day, miss." And I'm like, oh, that feels like for ladies who lunch.
You know what?
At least you didn't get a ma'am.
You know what that clip and what you just said sounds like? It sounds like it's more the problem with the mom who's struggling with the fact that you're in this new phase of your life where you're an adult now and you're a little bit older, and I know you're accustomed to calling everybody else. Maybe in your mind you're still 17, but you are 47 and you are a mother of two children, and it's okay for people to call you Miss or Mrs. such and such. And I also think there's a huge component, part of this is culture. For Caribbean culture and Hispanic culture and Asian culture, respecting your elders and calling them a certain way and walking into a room and addressing them with eye contact, it's a non-negotiable, and if you don't do it, it's seen as so disrespectful. I kind of like watching little kids walk into a room and their parents saying, address that person properly. I cringe a little bit when I see kids call their parents by their first name. I don't know what it is.
Kids call their parents?
By their first name. You've never seen that?
What do you mean?
When they walk into a room, they're like, hey, Kate. Kate.
You prefer mom.
I prefer mom. I prefer like auntie. And even I cringe sometimes because my friends' kids, like sometimes they're like, oh, call her Auntie Andrea. And I'm like, well, I'm not really your aunt. But I understand what the parents are trying to do, and I will always like that a little bit more. I know it's not new age, but I like it.
It's funny. What do Giants friends call you?
They call me Cynthia. Like, I can't imagine. I'm like this millennial mom. I can't imagine it coming from there. And I guess I just feel like, I don't know. I think that I would never want to be called Mrs. ever because that's...
Or ma'am.
Oh, ma'am, not at all.
Why not?
But Mrs. really bothers me too because it reduces me. My identity suddenly becomes about my relationship to my partner. I don't like that at all. Ms. at least is neutral.
But hold on. In all circumstances, because if you were checking into a hotel and they were like, Miss Loyst, your room's ready.
You like that?
I don't mind that.
Okay, see?
I think because it's like, it makes me feel fancy. So it doesn't make me feel like I'm being like differentiated by a kind of like, it distances me when somebody would refer to me. It's like you automatically are putting a barrier by calling me Miss Loyst. And maybe in the context of a hotel, I like that distance, and it's like, oh, you're fancy over there. But in the context of like a little kid, it's like, I want to be close to my kids' friends. I don't want to be seen as a distant Mrs.
And I just met your mom for the first time the other day, and without a hesitation, what did I call her?
You called her Miss Loyst, but I guarantee you she would have loved if you called her Diane.
You know what? She didn't seem to have a problem with the Mrs. Loyst. I'll tell you that. She hugged me afterwards. I'm just saying, Sin.
Again, just don't call her ma'am.
Yeah.
It is 2025. Would you be excited to watch a movie on DVD? Oh, I'm surprised. CBC is reporting that we are living through the, quote, second golden age of physical media. Things like DVDs, CDs, even vinyl records are back. Some boutique labels are selling out movies for $100 on DVD. DVD's making a comeback. Who's in?
I hope they're not.
You know?
I am wildly uninterested. Like, where would I play? Do you all have DVD players? Where would I play a DVD? You do?
They do.
I haven't seen a DVD
You
player
can play
in
one on
years.
PlayStation as well.
I also don't have one of those.
You don't, eh?
No,
Oh,
no.
interesting.
No.
Okay.
You're into this?
Yes,
Why?
I'm so into this. Well, in fact, I will say that we were recently cleaning the house, doing some file cleaning, and we came across all of our DVDs. And I was like, do we need to keep these for a second? And Jason pointed out, he's like, we might need to cancel some streaming services again in the future. So never know what Trump is going to say and inspire us to. So you got to have these things handy.
I guess for me, I'm like, with the streaming services, I can pay a quarter of a price per month to have everything at my fingertips.
No, you don't have everything.
Almost
you do
everything.
Have a lot, though, Sid.
How many times have people, I've got a movie, an obscure movie in my mind, I want to see it, and I have to search through 5 different streaming services. Does anyone have this? Be like, who has this? Yeah. Who doesn't have this? And then eventually to find out that nobody has it. Haven't you had this happen?
Never.
We don't watch obscure movies like you do.
Obscure movie. Am I not able to watch? Listen, I'm kind of in that hybrid where I'm a little bit. I grew up without all of this technology, but I've also adapted and I have some of it. So I still read read the newspaper. I still write in cursive. I still will call you on the
still write in
telephone.
cursive?
Yes, I write in cursive. I still have a record collection, but I'm sorry, I'm not going back to DVDs. I just gotta just this one, those times I love getting on a streaming, and then you're like, what do I wanna watch? There's a comedy special, there's a TV series, am I binging? I'm not giving that up, I'm sorry.
This. I get what you're saying. I think a DVD is mid. If we're gonna go analog, you gotta go all the way. If you told me—
You want a VHS tape?
No.
What's the earlier one? Beta? I didn't even know what that was.
You know, I
Now
mean, that's
we're-
going really retro. But retro is making a comeback. If you guys see what's happening with Taylor Swift right now, you know what I'm gonna say. She's coming out with a new album soon, The Life of a Showgirl. She's not just releasing on one vinyl. She has at least 7 versions of this new album that she is going to put, that is already out on the market. She wants it to be a collectible. They say that she is single-handedly bringing back the vinyl industry.
Do you know why
right?
this is so appealing to kids today? My 19-year-old niece is the same way. It's because they want something they can physically hold in their
Sure, it
hands.
feels real.
It does feel real as opposed to this ephemeral thing. And I think the same thing goes with DVDs.
No
if you
way,
want to
man.
increase your kids—
Sorry, we're not buying it.
Oh
Listen,
my
first of all,
gosh.
you know what's criminal? And I have to call out all of these artists, these younger artists who are bringing things out on vinyl. $55 for one record. I'm sorry, that's what's criminal. I enjoy that the kids want something tactile, but I'm thinking they're way too expensive. We used to buy vinyl for like $2.99. So I will just say that, but you cannot win me over. You're telling me that, remember the days you'd have to go out Blockbuster
I
and
love
search?
those days.
And then be
You
told,
go
I did
in,
like those
I'm going to
days.
paint
You
a
want
different
that?
picture. You go in, you pick up your popcorn, you wander around,
Oh
you
my
think about,
gosh.
oh, what does this cover looks kind of
But
interesting.
hold on,
What if you
earlier
don't like
said-
it?
But also earlier you said you were worried about not being able to find what you wanted. Remember the days at the video store where there would be the Velcro?
Yes.
Like once 20 copies of Twister were gone, you're not watching Twister that night.
Thank you.
But
Now
you
we
know
all
what?
can watch Twister
Anytime we want.
I don't know, guys. I feel like we got to go back to these options that they're going to bring us.
Hey, I'll tell you why.
No
Because we
way.
have to go to break now. That means it forced us out of the house. We walked. And guess what? If you're scared, you can get a tracker to go to Blockbuster. You're fine. We're fine.
There you go.
We're covered.
Wait, I like it's a full circle.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Call me when the Walkman comes back.
Oh, it's back.
Yeah.
Back.
Yeah.
back.
Okay, see? Guys, we're going backward. Landlines are making a comeback too.
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.